Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have quorum. We do.
You can see it before I can.
If I can have everybody take their seats, we're ready to begin the meeting.
BT.
Thank you for everybody. Hope you had a good lunch. We are continuing the meeting. We're going to be finishing off the last of the accountability offices, which is the Office of the Ombudsman. Again, presentation, and then there'll be questions. Thank you.
Thanks to Ms. Grace Young, the Manager of Financial Planning and Reporting. She not only assisted with the presentation for today, but she assists us all year long with our budget, and it's invaluable help for which we're very grateful. Just an overview of the request that I'm making on behalf of my office today. We are recommending that our operating budget for 2018 be set at $1,985,000. And this is an increase of 9.7% from our 2017 operating budget, but an effective increase of only 3.8% from our 2018 pro forma budget. And I will explain that in detail in a few moments, but essentially there are two components to my operating budget request. The first is the reversal of a one-time reduction that we had last year of $72,000. That reduction came from our budget for legal services and investigative and outreach expenses. And I'm asking that that be restored. And the second is about the same amount, $73,000, for a new staff position to provide urgently needed casework support. So those are my essential requests. I believe that they're modest, and I will amplify on them briefly. The role of the Ombudsman, as you know, is a key aspect of the governance of the city. We have a legal mandate, which is our statutory obligation, to investigate decisions and recommendations made or acts done or not done in the administration of the city, and that includes all 45 city divisions and almost all city agencies, corporations, and local boards. So we are overseeing, on behalf of close to 3 million Torontonians, almost 50,000 public servants. The core business of the office is that we listen to the public, first and foremost. We humanize the city administration for people who believe that they have been unfairly treated, and they are feeling mistreated and alienated when they come to us. Secondly, we investigate complaints and concerns. We help the city administration to hold itself accountable to the people that it exists to serve. And of course, the result is that the city's services are improved. We reduce friction between individual members of the public and the city administration by evening the playing field between them, and we make recommendations to improve the way that the city serves its people. The effect of this is enhanced public confidence and trust in the government of the City of Toronto. And another effect, and it's important in the context of the discussion that you are having today, is that it saves the city money. When I arrived at the office in September of 2016, shortly after, in the next few months, we had a team discussion, and we tried to define and encapsulate what it is that we do. The word ombudsman is not a very friendly and easily understood term, and we wanted to explain to the public, to the city, and also to ourselves, what are we here for? What's the essence of our work? And this is what we came up with: listening, investigating, improving city services. So touching briefly on the listening, for 2017, we're on track to receive over 650 complaints from members of the public. And we are fully accessible. People complain to our office in person, by phone, by fax, by email, and on our website. We have access to basic translation services for complaints in over 100 languages. We only look into complaints after the person has made reasonable efforts to resolve the issue directly with the city division or organization. We feel that that's not only the responsibility, but it's important that the city have an opportunity to solve its own problems before we get involved. We seek responses from city staff to complaints. We gather information with an open mind. We want everyone that deals with us to know that they are heard, both members of the public and public servants, and we remain completely impartial. In terms of investigating, if we can't help, because the matter's outside of our jurisdiction, we refer members of the public to the appropriate place. And we have a new streamlined investigation tool to help us to quickly and informally as possible resolve complaints that come to us. This is a process that involves gathering information, it involves mediation in many cases, and recommending improvements where necessary. And we call this new process conducting an inquiry. And we have adopted this new process expressly because we want to be sure that we use the public resources that are dedicated to our work in the most effective and efficient way possible. By the end of this year, we will have completed about 450 inquiries if we stay on the track that we're on now. If the issue is a very complex one and would have broad systemic implications, then we may launch a more formal investigation, which, as you know, yields formal recommendations that come to City Council for approval and implementation. But both our investigations and inquiries result in real changes, and we follow up on all of them. And the last part of our mandate, the improving city services. Large and small improvements result from the work of Ombudsman Toronto. And that's everything from changes to policies and procedures and bylaws to what we hope is a ongoing broad culture change leading to better, more principled and fairer public service. At its core, as I mentioned, our work is about holding the city accountable in the duty to treat everyone with whom it deals fairly. So I want to point out that the impact is both broad and specific. In terms of broad citywide improvements, we've made more than 400 recommendations since opening for improving the way the city serves people. Recent examples of the broad-based change that has resulted from our work include the new AMPS system for parking tickets disputes, improved oversight of the TTC's Transit Enforcement Unit, and also expanded and more transparent winter drop-in services for people experiencing homelessness. But in addition to the broad improvements, we also ensure fairness in individual cases. And we resolve hundreds of these every year. And there was a striking example in 2017 that I'll remind you of. It was a vulnerable elderly man who came to our office. He had lost his house in a tax sale to the city. And when he came to us, he was destitute. The city had refused to pay his claim to the $460,000 remaining, the surplus, and we conducted an inquiry. We did it quickly and nimbly and informally, which is how we work whenever possible. And we determined that really fairness required that he receive that money back. So we made an inquiry report, we brought it to council. You, council, directed that the payment be made, and the payment was in fact made. I'd just like to read the reactions of 3 people who were involved in that case to the effect of the work. His lawyer said the following: through the assistance of the Office of the Ombudsman, where the case was taken as a clear issue of access to justice, the funds were paid to my client, and he now has the ability to maintain his life with dignity. Without the involvement of the Ombudsman's office, whose representatives took very direct action to right an otherwise devastating impact to my client, this result could not have been achieved. The complainant himself said, "Thank you from the top, bottom, and sides of my heart." And the senior city staff member who was involved in this case said, "I extend my thanks to the Ombudsman's office for their leadership, advice, and guidance in this matter, and for achieving a fair resolution to a very difficult situation." So to summarize the impact before I get to the numbers, which I know is what you're here to hear about, the work of this office and of my dedicated team provides access to justice for the public. It helps to ensure that best practices in administrative fairness are exercised by your public service, who serves the public on your behalf. It enhances public trust and makes services better. And also it saves the city money in 2 ways. First of all, by resolving disputes before they become expensive and protracted litigation. And secondly, by recommending improvements that avoid complaints and avoid problems in the first place. Whoops, excuse me. In terms of casework highlights, as I've said, we're on track to deal with 1,652 complaints this year. That's a 7.3% increase over last year's complaint number. We issued 3 public investigation reports and 4 public inquiry reports so far. They're listed on the slide. And beyond our casework, there are highlights that I wish to touch on. One is this new and more nimble, agile way of working that we call inquiries. And a significant aspect of that is that we are now doing inquiry reports, which are shorter and more focused than investigation reports, and which we post directly to our website. That provides transparency for the public, but it does away with the need of cluttering up the council agenda with a report that maybe does not have the broad-based public interest that is required for it to be taken there. So it gives us another mechanism, a more nimble, more efficient mechanism for reporting on our work. Stakeholder outreach, of course, is also very important to us, and we have done a great deal of outreach, both to the community and the city. I note on the community side that last year we had 6,000 visits to our website. This year we already have over 20,000. And in terms of city outreach, we have put a great new emphasis on proactive and collaborative ombudsmanship. And we are consulting with city divisions and city leaders about how to make services fairer. One noteworthy example is a project that the city manager's office is running right now on how to deliver fair service to the public in difficult circumstances, and we're consulting on that. I'd like to just point out that this constructive approach that we're taking to our work has been extremely well received in many quarters, and our advice is being increasingly sought by city leaders and other public service members on how to deliver fair service. Toronto does not spend a lot on its Ombudsman office, and I have a couple of slides. I'm not going to review them, but they both illustrate how lean our team and our budget really are. I would respectfully submit that we are hitting above our weight. We're getting a lot done with the public funds that we receive, and the city gets excellent value from our office. When you compare it to other offices and you look at the populations that are being served and so on, I think that's evident. So as I mentioned, this is the budget request that we are making. It is a 9.7% increase over 2017, and I of course wish to explain the reason for that. But it is 0.018% of the city's entire budget, and I think that's important just to mention by way of context. Like every part of the city, we do have key cost drivers that are unavoidable, and those are listed on this slide: salary, cost of living increases, and so on. The recent history of our budget, I thought, was worth showing to you. Last year, there was a recommended reduction across the board, a directed reduction across the board. And in the spirit of cooperation, we proposed a reduction for 1 year. And it was on the basis that we would review our budgetary needs and come back to you this year and let you know. So we took $72,000 off of our budget for investigative expenses, legal services, and outreach. You'll see on this slide, though, that on all the previous years, there were enhancement requests made, and they were either declined entirely or just a modest enhancement was made in 2015. So as I mentioned, there are 2 aspects to the request today. The one is the restoration of the $72.2 thousand cut last year. Having evaluated the situation, it's my belief, and I urge the committee to acknowledge that these funds are needed for us to be able to fulfill our mandate. We select systemic investigations based on what we perceive to be areas of service that are not working well. But these broad systemic investigations are very expensive, and we have to be extremely selective, especially now, having foregone that money. Also, it prevents us being adequately nimble for unforeseen needs for investigations. We are also requesting a modest enhancement of $73,000 for one full-time casework support position. This is an administrative position to support the investigation, inquiry, and complaints analysis functions of the office. If you look at our organizational chart and you see the Director of Investigations and Conflict Resolution in the middle there, he oversees 7 staff, all of whom are dealing on our core business, which is casework, complaints. And there is no support presently in the org chart for any of that. The director has no support, no administrative support, neither do the 5 investigators, and neither do the 2 complaints analysts. And that's really a very difficult and unsustainable situation. It means that those people who should be investigating complaints are having to do all of their own administrative work as well. And so I really believe that this enhancement is modest and the minimum necessary. Excuse me. Just to conclude, I take very seriously the responsibility we have to carefully use the public funds that council allocates to the work of my office in the public interest. And as I've mentioned, we have streamlined our processes with the inquiries and inquiry reports in an effort to make our funds go further. Secondly, we have increased our approach to a proactive, collaborative ombudsman model where we can actually help the city to do better in serving the public fairly, which avoids complaints, enhances trust, and as I've mentioned, saves money for the public. It's a matter of good governance. But the current lack of resources is hampering our ability to fulfill our legal mandate in a way that I would like us to be able to do that. Specifically, the workload that my staff has currently means it takes longer to resolve complaints. Also, as I mentioned, our ability to undertake broad systemic investigations is severely restricted currently. And the thing about those investigations is that they help the most people, they have the broadest impact, and they also have the potential to help vulnerable people. And vulnerable people are not people who generally come and make complaints. They have enough problems in their lives, and they're not able to come forward and raise their grievances. So those systemic investigations, I submit to you, are a really important part of our work, and we need a little bit more in way of resources to be able to do more of those. And finally, our capacity to help the city understand and implement best practices in administrative fairness is also restricted with our current resources. So the request enhancement that I'm asking for one urgently needed support position is really what I submit to you and what I believe is the minimum required enhancement to try to address those shortcomings that we're having now. I believe that the office is providing very good value, and I ask you to closely consider this modest enhancement request. In terms of our capital plan, it is a $700,000 investment in state of good repair for our case management system in 2023. So I am ready to receive questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Questions? Councillor Mihevc.
Yes, is the 700,000 in the staff presented budget, the capital side?
It's capital system, state of good.
It's a state of good repair capital system budget
is it in?
item. Is it already in the preliminary budget? Is that the question?
Josie's saying it's.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
we're good on that side.
Thank you.
And then on the other side, it's, I'm trying to understand, so you need one staff position for 72,000.
Yes, and I'm asking for a reversal of a $72,000 reduction, one-time reduction from last year.
And what does that do?
So if you
What are
go,
you buying for
this
that?
slide on the screen, Councillor Mihevc should,
Page 18, 16.
page 16.
Okay, and so one of it's for staff, it's 175 total? base to base.
Yes.
Half of that is for more or less half.
Staff position, and half of it is to restore the funds that were taken out of the legal services, investigative expenses, and outreach expenses
okay,
budget.
that are listed here.
Yes.
Okay. And is the staff position, is that listed as a full-time, full-year position?
It is. It's a full-time, full-year administrative assistant 3 level position.
Okay, thank you.
9 months.
Thank you. Any other
Oh,
questions?
for 9 months.
That's a 9-month salary.
Oh, in 9 months in 2018, because there would be time for implementing it, yes.
Any other questions? Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you had 1,652 complaints. How many of those would have been just dismissed? How do you categorize those complaints?
Well, we never dismiss them per se, but what we do is we get a certain number of complaints that are either premature or outside of our jurisdiction. And what we do in those cases is that we refer them out.
So how many of these were within your jurisdiction?
Of those that were in our jurisdiction, of that 1652, just one moment.
I gather this is 652 telephone calls or emails that came in?
Yes, exactly.
About 6 a day, I guess.
Just over half of those probably would be the quick ones where
So you
we
had about
refer them elsewhere.
about 800 complaints.
Yes.
And how many of those might have been, of the 800, how many of those might have been, sort of multiple complaints about one item, or, one person complaining about multiple things?
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, there is a great variation, as you're suggesting, Councillor Campbell. Some are very complex, and some are less complex. So there's a full range. If we talk in terms of how long it takes to resolve them, perhaps that would assist.
Sure, like, you mentioned the senior who had the tax problem, you got that resolved, right?
Yes. That one, well, we worked very quickly on that because of the particular circumstances of that one. But I can tell you that about 80% are resolved within 30 days.
Okay.
About 66% we're able to resolve within 7 days. And then the other,
what percent?
almost 20% are open quite a bit longer than
What percent within 7 days?
66.6.
Okay, so 2/3 within 7 days.
Yes.
Okay. And the public inquiry reports, how do you determine if a topic has merit for investigation? So you investigated a noise complaint at MLS. I'm not sure what that is.
Yes.
Something about the Committee of Adjustment notice procedures.
Well, we investigate, we look into every issue that's within our jurisdiction.
But how do you determine if it merits time and money spent on a report?
Oh, by the information that we gather, our analysis of the issue and the information, and then we determine whether we believe it's in the public interest to issue a report. So for example, for the noise complaint one that you referred to,
Right.
we made recommendations for long-term improvements to the way MLS deals with noise complaints, and we wanted the public to know that, we wanted MLS to know that, we wanted there to be a basis for follow-up for that.
Okay, and the process for out-of-province license plate owners to challenge parking tickets. Why do I care about that?
It's a matter of fairness with respect to somebody who
So somebody who lives in Manitoba, I'm concerned about them fighting a City of Toronto parking ticket.
I would submit that, yes, we should be concerned that all members of the public receive fair treatment from the City of Toronto administration, whether they are resident or non.
Okay, well, I have a difference of opinion, but all right. Now, the outreach sessions, where would they have been done?
Oh, they're done all over the place. I mean, we speak at community groups, we speak to divisions of the city, to city agencies.
So that's fairly time-consuming.
It's quite time-consuming, yes.
How many people do you have on outreach?
Myself and one assistant.
Okay. So, and the additional person that you're looking for is for what?
Is not for outreach, it's for the casework. It's to support the work of the director and the 7 investigators and complaints analysts who work.
But if you did 18 information sessions and 17 consultations with city divisions, that's quite a bit of time spent, is it not?
It is.
Right.
Yes. The 17 consultations are kind of an overlap between outreach and casework.
Right.
Because we would be called about a case and asked for our advice and our input on how to handle something fairly, so that kind of covers, it fits into both categories, I would say.
And sorry, the breakdown of the money, one was for, one is for a restatement of money that you felt you didn't need last year, but now you think you need,
Yes,
right?
correct. I didn't know if we would need it, and in the
Legal
spirit of
service.
cooperation.
So you've mentioned legal services, investigative expenses, and outreach-related expenses. So you just said that the outreach is done by you and an assistant. So what are outreach-related expenses? How much would they be?
I don't have the breakdown of those three categories now. I was frankly thinking of it as a kind of a bucket of funds that's there if we need it.
Okay.
Specifically, the unanticipated part is the investigative needs and the legal.
Okay. Okay, that's my time, I guess, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next, we are now on to Cluster B. So we'll be doing an overall presentation of the cluster, and we'll ask questions, and we'll get into each of the individual divisions just for questions.
I can read it. How do I advance this? Sorry, how do I advance?
No, just use this one and this one.
Okay.
To your page, you just put number and enter, it will go to the page.
Okay.
Otherwise, up and down, or
Up
this
and down.
side.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, Mr. Chair.
All yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of committee, visiting councilors, members of the public, good afternoon. I'm here to present the Cluster B budget submission. First, thanks to Carol Murrah sitting to my left, Mary Russo sitting two over, Claire Moo, and Lydia Danelsu for helping me with this presentation. We're going to give you an overview of the cluster, service performance, key issues and priority actions, and we're going to give you both an operating and a capital overview. Here on the next slide, one more, is the services that we deliver in citizen-centered Cluster B, which is a short form for Planning and Public Works. You see Transportation Engineering, PPF&A, Planning, Policy, and Finance Administration, Municipal Licensing Standards, Toronto Building, City Planning, and Toronto Fire Service. In addition, Cluster B has the two rate-supported Toronto Water and Solid Waste Management Services. And on the next slide, you'll see that you'll see the actual organizational chart, the 9 span of control I have there, plus Lou and Jim. Total complement of 6,483, and including Toronto Water and Solid Waste, it's 9,361 staff members. So it's a big program. So I'm going to go take you through the 7 program areas today. I'm going to combine the key accomplishments and key issues and priority items for each of the divisions on a logical way. I'm not going to group them by cluster. I hope that's clear for you to understand what we've done, what we're facing in terms of issues, and what we're undertaking in 2018 to respond. And largely, just the sort of the overview is largely the programs remain unchanged, but I will discuss any new changes, any new and enhanced items as we go. So here we are, city planning. They go first because they're a C, ABC. Should have a Toronto in front of it, Toronto City Planning, and then be second last. So key accomplishments, and I just want to spend a few, you can read all this information we have in the slide deck, but just a few things. So just volume, 3,830 Committee of Adjustment applications and 325 community planning applications, OPA, zoning, site plans, et cetera. 200 registered archaeological sites, 241 archaeological assessment, and 1,867 heritage applications. So the volumes are large. We've got a robust transportation set of priorities. You can see things like King Street, Scarborough Subway, RER Smart Track. You've seen them on the agendas, Eglinton East and West, Finch, Park Lawn, and Woodbine GO stations. We've advanced the Don Mills Crossing planning framework, and significant work has been done on TO Core for the downtown. It's a very significant and seminal document in the history of the city. We've moved along the Rail Deck Park, as we saw in the last council, a whole series of civic improvements, and there's a detailed list of all these other things that we've got on pages 52 and 53 for your consideration. So some of the key issues and priority actions to respond to these issues. To say the least, we have an increasing demand and complexity in our work in city planning, large city building infrastructure, large underutilized sites. It's especially important that we do this work in light of the announcement of the new Planning Act. It's going to put more pressure on these planning studies. You can see the volumes in Committee of Adjustment, which have been going up and causing extra workload. Workload pressure is associated with the fast-tracking transit initiatives. Time is of the essence on many of these things, and our dedicated team is under considerable pressure to produce results. We've been advancing new secondary plans and the work on Rail Deck Park, and we've advanced Heritage Conservation District studies and plans. In terms of helping deal with some of this volume, we're looking at an end-to-end review of the development review process. The C of A process, we're looking at an e-service delivery, and we were reviewing the notice protocols for C of A and planning. Engineering and construction, delivered a capital program at approximately 80% spend rate, and we've done that in the face of a growing capital budget. So this is not only meeting that target, but it's meeting the target with greater amounts of work. They've assumed responsibility for the local road resurfacing program from Transportation Services. We believe that is an improvement in the delivery method. Then you can see some of the things that we've done in resurfacing, reconstructing roads, St. Clair, Lakeshore, Parliament, Coxwell, Bernard Thorpe. Over nearly 3,000 meters, almost 3 kilometers of sewer, and nearly 16 kilometers of water main work. And you know about the York Bay Young Ramp and the work on 6 Points interchange. We finished the Prince Edward Viaduct work. We've done a lot of TTC track work. We've, on the planning side, we've received 86% compliance with mandated timelines for development review. That's a significant improvement. We've got a 99% compliance for approximately 7,200 utility applications. And we've done all the bridges. We met all the bridge condition assessments within target. So, in terms of key issues and priority areas, we have an increasing volume of work. The planning and coordination of the multi-year capital project challenges us with so many people wanting to do things, change things, add, subtract. It's a constant challenge for us, but we've got it under control. We're going to start the first contract for the Gardner between Jarvis and Cherry Streets. You'll see that in the new year with an award. We're beginning the UV disinfection system work on the new outfall at Ashbridges Bay, long aspiration to get that done, and we're demolishing 6 bridges at 6 Points. And we're going to do another significant public works, largely goes under the radar, and that's the construction of the Coxwell bypass down the Don River to intercept combined sewer overflows, take it out of the Don River and treat it. And in aid of that, a number of major transformation initiatives, business improvement processes, document management, drawing technologies for assisting us in our design work, project management, productivity strategies, and KPI and business intelligence. Municipal licensing and standards. Why does that get a laugh? So, some key accomplishments. Now, I mean, I don't even know how to say how much some of these things, how much work's here. Implemented rent-safe TO and apartment building standards program. Completed short-term rental regulations review. Man, what a piece of work. Amended the Toronto Municipal Code Chapter 349, animals. Always an interesting time at our committee. here's one that's not big in number, 27 cases, but big in impact on those that are affected. The SPIDER program, the Specialized Program for Individual Enhanced Responsiveness, solved some really life-threatening, really difficult issues, and it's a testament to MLS, but also all the other related divisions that support that effort. Tremendous effort. Partnered with the Toronto Police to address illegal marijuana. Automated the application process for the public transportation company drivers. Again, a huge effort, award-winning effort, awarded the Digital Transformation Award and the Excellence in Municipal Systems Award across Canada for their work. Enhanced public engagement by using social media with over 30,000 views, and completed phase 1 of our Data Mart project, which will pay off in spades with better diagnostics and help identifying places of problems in the city. So key issues, priority actions. We got to implement the short-term rental bylaw, not just a little throwaway line. There's a lot of work here. We've got to deal with the potential impacts of marijuana. We've got to shift service calls from Toronto Police in terms of some of the transformational task force recommendations. And we've got business transformation for rent-safe TO, short-term rental regulations, a series of legacy applications that need to be upgraded, and continued phase 2 of the Data Mart project. PPF&A led the Cluster B Process for Excellence Canada Bronze designation, processed over 56,000 vendor invoices, 155 million in accounts receivable, 540,000 payroll line entries for payroll, 140 public consultation event support. OEM, which is kind of put in this presentation, but it's a direct report to me, tremendous work and great response and doing a variety of things. You see a couple of things here, including publications and action plans. And I hope you noticed the upgrade to the major capital construction TO InView. It's version 2.0. On the go forward, we've got more technology platforms. We have the challenges of attracting good staff with computer skills. And in OEM, we're implementing the disaster LAN software as a web-based incident management system. Toronto Building, key accomplishments, the Toronto Building Service Plan, improved permit review service levels, up to 96% now, implemented the residential infill construction strategy, directed through by council and broadly embraced by the division. We targeted 600 residential infill sites. We advanced divisional succession planning program. And we participated in a number of provincial, federal building code reviews. Key issues, trying to process those applications. High staff turnover. We have a difficulty keeping and retaining good staff, and it's a technical profession that's difficult to recruit. We've done a lot of on-the-job training, mentoring, internship program, but it continues to challenge us. And we've got a new building code coming. We expect in 2018 from the province that will require some of our processes to change. They're going to advance, as they've always done, a little bit leading e-service. The e-service website's currently being developed and tested. And we've got a pilot quality assurance unit inspection services underway. Fire services. Big year for fire. Last winter, we had a series of big fires, including the fire at the Badminton Racket Club, our largest deployment ever in the city of Toronto, larger than Sunrise. And we've got some very interesting, we heard a presentation yesterday at the Emergency Management Program Committee on having deployed as many units as we had and managed to keep the city operating well behind it. You see the response times, they've improved, and we still are challenged by travel times in a congested city. On the inspection side, we've inspected all community TCHC high-rise and seniors building. We did all high-rise buildings in the city, And we also did 50 sites where social housing, shelter support, and housing administration, where clients were referred to street by street to homes. We looked at those sites as well. And we completed a number of capital projects, including computer-aided dispatch upgrades and mobile devices and bunker suits and gas meters, et cetera. Some key issues, increasing number of emergency incidents, increasing WSIB costs. The presumptive legislation on cancers is, creates a lot of fiscal pressure for us. We continue to implement the transformation plan, operationalizing the 2015-2019 Master Fire Plan. This year, we're introduced or required to do the National Fire Protection Association 1031 and 1035 Level 1 professional qualifications for all staff. That's a new pressure that we had not anticipated. We continue to develop and implement a comprehensive Toronto Fire Service inclusion plan. We've heard council very strong views on that, and we continue to forge improvements in that area. We develop and continue to implement a comprehensive mental health support plan for traumatic stress and suicide prevention here at the service. And there's some significant renovation, expansion, relocation required for fire headquarters, quartermaster, mechanical, public education. Health and safety of the community and staff, capital items like defibrillators, personal protective equipment, USAR, et cetera, are in our plan. We need to develop long-term replacement strategy for the William Lyon Mackenzie fireboat and the William Thornton fireboat. We want to implement a comprehensive operations-based fire code reinspection program, enhance fire protection service levels and the costs, pursue mobile technology solutions for inspection and enforcement, and we've continued to transition in our dynamic staging of vehicles to respond effectively to incidents. And finally, transportation, penultimately, transportation congestion management plan, the key accomplishments: we timed 281 traffic signals, traffic monitoring signs, 10 kilometers of sidewalks. We kicked off the King Street Transit pilot, significant effort to get that up and running. Vision Zero safety plan, implemented the first year of 12 safety zones, 47 pedestrian safety corridors, school safety zones, watcher speed signs. We continue to rotate the 4 mobile watcher speeds, increase the number of red light cameras, installed 14 new traffic signals and 22 audible pedestrian signals. And cycling, you know this Bloor Street bike lane pilot project, and implemented the second year of the 10-kilometer installation of cycle tracks, bike lanes, and contraflow bike lanes. And we're undertaking a comprehensive review that'll transition into 2018 for transportation. So some of the key issues and priority actions: accelerate the Vision Zero road safety plan, accelerate investments in senior and school safety zones, implement more red light cameras, automatic speed enforcement plan. Excuse me. We're going to continue our congestion management plan to facilitate traffic flow, quicker response times for incident management, we'll discuss that in a minute. Curbside management strategy continues, freight and good movement strategy continues. Implement the third year of the cycling plan, continued asset management strategy for aging roads, infrastructure. You'll see in the state of good repair, our local roads continue to backlog. And we've got some other issues with responding to the AG's recommendations for contract management. We've got some ways of improving that in terms of oversight and inspection. We're piloting a new smart signal technology on priority corridors to reduce time and delay. We're using emerging technologies to look at traffic flow that analyzes movement of vehicles, cyclists, pedestrians in real time. And we continue the implementation of the enterprise work management system, which, by the way, is being done in a variety of divisions across the cluster and in Cluster A. Waterfront Revitalization Initiative, federal provincial funding for the Portlands came in June of last year, or this year. A big move for the move forward on the naturalization of the Don River. The Gardner East EA was approved and sets the stage for the work that we're doing now. We've completed construction of the Bentway. Skating trails just about ready to open. Portland's planning framework and Villiers Island precinct plans approved. Detailed design for Cherry Street stormwater and lake filling is completed and construction started. Detailed design for the Fort York pedestrian cycle bridge has been completed and the fabrication's underway, and we'll see that next year. The waterfront transit reset you'll see coming back in the next cycle. Bathurst Key neighborhood plan will be finalized. And we had some major things done through Waterfront Toronto, the Waterfront Innovation Center and George Brown College second waterfront campus building were approved and started. 2 child care facilities in the East Bayfront transition. Phase 2 of Bayfront is registered, and we worked very closely with all our colleagues across many divisions for the West Don Lands rental housing opportunities. We took a report back in the fall on that, and we're quite proud of that. Key issues, building and implementing the Portland's flood protection and the Cherry Street lake filling with bridges and a new river mouth. Coordinate several large infrastructure projects with this work. Pursue federal and provincial funding for transit. Continue on Waterfront 1.0, finish it off, East Bayfront, West Don Lands, and engage sidewalk on Quayside, and further discussion on their involvement, if any, in the Portlands. Monitor the Billy Bishop Airport. We're probably going to see some action on the ends of the runways there because of the safety zones. And we're going to install that Fort York pedestrian cycle bridge and see further work on the Bentway. So that's the division by division summary. Sorry I went so fast. There's lots of information in the back. Hope you take the time to look at it. We're very proud of the work that we've done in the cluster, and staff should be thanked for all their hard work. In terms of an operating view, if you look on page, whatever this slide was with the pie charts, it's one we do every year. You can see fire is the biggest, followed by transportation. And where does the money come from? 62% property tax and user fees, reserve funds and subsidies make up the rest, makes the balance up. Here's the money slide. You can see the overall budget, somewhere in the order of 1.14 billion, net 717 million for those 7 program areas in Cluster B. And the pressure here is primarily in fire because of the award, the COLA award, and the 22 new staff persons for the staffing of Station B at Downsview and Kiel, and some of the annualization for the 8 positions in the transformation plan. Transportation services is below target by 2.3. We've realigned some of the winter maintenance costs based on historical experience and what's in our reserve. We've got additional revenue from construction staging and traffic mitigation and utility cut fees. And I would say 10.3 or 74% of the year-over-year gross is cost of living, progression pay, re-earnable bonus, fringe benefits, inflation. So it's a pretty stand-pat budget. You'll see most of these zeros. Fire up a little bit, transportation down a little bit. In terms of staff, here's some staffing changes. Again, mostly zero net, or if not, very marginal increase. You see the fire implications of 21 positions. Positions to support traffic movement, C of A staff to deal with the volume, the costs of doing the NFPA. And in the new enhanced, there's 8 capital positions for work on Finch West, funded by Metrolinx. Short-term rentals generate fees that we use to staff 8 positions. There's some extra capital positions for the cycling network plan, again, offset by revenues. Basement flooding, 5 new positions against capital to accelerate and bring home some of those basement flooding protection program studies. We've got an internship with universities and colleges with Toronto Building, And there's one additional capital position for the Lawrence Heights Revitalization Program. And on this slide, this is the slide that's got ones that have not yet actually made it into this budget, but are here for your consideration. You've heard the discussion previously at committee and council around traffic wardens. They are 11 positions that we believe are warranted for a $1.6 million net. The incident management response to keep our freeways or expressways free-flowing are 5 positions. The school crossing guard program comes out of that Toronto Police report, so there's 3 permanent positions that add pressure there. Project oversight and inspection compliance, we think these are really needed to enhance contract management, coming out of the AG report on paving audit. Road to mental readiness, there's some money that we believe would be helpful. It's only $100,000 to roll out mental health and safety resiliency training for the fire service. Post-traumatic stress, et cetera, I think is worth that investment. And in employment systems and review and the inclusion plan for Toronto Fire, an additional $200 million or $200,000 would assist us in accelerating and seeing that program fully realized. Okay, capital. I'm going to give you the 10-year capital. So all these numbers are 10 years numbers. If you want to go to pages 54 to 59, you'll see the 2018 numbers. But I really just wanted to give you the 10-year program, because it seems, a lot of those programs, so the capital works go over 4, 5, 6 years. You'll see the big numbers in transportation. Much of that is the Gardner, almost half of it. And most of it comes from debt. City planning, more studies, civic improvements, and getting ready for changes, challenges on our OP and zoning, new planning act, et cetera, all reasonably small numbers, $30 million. Toronto Fire Services, Station B just finishing it off, Station A finishing it off. Station G, Sunnybrook would be a new capital request, but it's out in the far end of the 10-year capital plan. And needs training and new building, small, $1 million. And then equipment upgrades, which we always need. Transportation, here you go, FG Gardner, $2.299 billion. Major roads, local roads, another big numbers, $700 million numbers. Bridges, sidewalks. Growth, St. Clair, Kiel to Old Weston, 6 points. Scarlet Road, Dundas, Steeles, widening. All on our plans previously, all being advanced. Cycling infrastructure, engineering, you can see the list. Health and safety, all pretty standard. And the waterfront revitalization, I think you know here, Portland's Cherry Street, Water Edge Promenades around Bayside, precinct planning in West Don Lands, Public Art, Bentway, Bathurst Key. And here's the spending, and this will smooth out. You've got a lot in 2024. It's the end of the payment schedule on the Gardner, but this is going to smooth out as we get better numbers on our awards, and it won't look quite as spiky as this on the go forward. And you can see the funding sources. State of good repair goes down almost exclusively because of the Gardner. Major roads, we've injected a lot of additional dollars previously. Local roads are going to need that injection sometime because it's going backwards. And that concludes my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Levy. So what we'll do now, we'll go to questions of the overall presentation. We'll have an opportunity to ask if you have a question more specifically on a division. You can ideally wait for that, but these are just general questions on the presentation. And then we'll go through each of the divisions that were in there. So I'll open up for questions, overall questions to the presentation. Yeah, we're going to go through each of the divisions next. So these are just overall questions on the presentation. Councillor Mihevc.
Start, maybe I'll save time later when you go department by department. On the planning department side, and let me say as a preface to the question, both on St. Clair and on Eglinton Cross down St. Clair, I forget what we called it, it was very, very beneficial to do the work prior, recognizing new infrastructure's coming in. And my concern is do we have enough in there, I guess it's on the capital side, to do the appropriate studies on the avenues where growth is happening to anticipate development? Is there enough there?
So, Mr. Chair, I would say probably not. And I say that in part because of the royal assent to the new bill, in part, because of the new bill, the new Planning Act. I think the new Planning Act is going to put an increasing emphasis on our avenues in particular where we're going to see additional growth for us to be consistently applying a standard. Eglinton Connects and St. Clair were very good examples where we got in front of it. It is going to give us the steadfastness we're going to need, I think, as staff and as council to uniformly guide development in those areas. You're going to have the ability not to be subject to the same levels of appeals, and I believe that you're going to want some more consistency. So right now, we probably don't have enough, but I think as we go through this year and get ready for next year, we're going to have to present you with some additional.
So seeing that we're only dealing with 2018, bottom line, should I be asking for a briefing note for you to quantify that for
can.
possible inclusion in 2018? Or can you hold the ship together and can we then, so that's one way is the briefing note way, the other way is.
I'll answer it this way. Either way, we couldn't gear it up fast enough to anticipate all this. Like, we just couldn't gear up. We have such difficulty in recruiting top, candidates to the existing positions that we have outstanding. We continue to work as hard as we can on that. But if we were to gear up some more, we just couldn't gear up fast enough.
So
We
you don't
will be
need it in
having to do that.
2018? You don't need it in 2018?
No, I think you need it.
2019?
You're going to need it in 19.
Okay, great, so no briefing note there. You know what, I'll pass it to someone else while I go through my notes, if that's
Okay.
okay. If you can come back to me for my other 2.5 minutes. Or I can ask one, too. Are you on top of, I'll come back.
Okay, who's Councillor Nunziata next?
So I'm just going to ask questions on what you just presented. Okay, so on page 7, city planning, the 325 community planning applications that were received.
Yep.
So how many out of those 325 planning applications were actually processed?
Well, they're all being processed.
No,
The
have been
The vast
completed.
majority of them would not have been completed. The vast majority of them would still be in process, and we will have completed a whole bunch of ones that were in the queue before. So most of them are 6 months, 9 months, a year or more. And so if they come in June, they're not likely to have been dealt with in years. So I would say the vast majority of them would not have been completed, but we've completed a whole bunch that were from prior years.
From the previous year. So how long would it take to complete an application?
Depends on the scale, obviously. Official plan and big zoning amendments are often take
Yeah,
more than a
but
year.
within a year.
These are site plans, zonings, and OPAs. So these tend to be the bigger and more substantive.
So these 325 planning applications are the bigger applications, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
On page 14, the issued 37,000 customer invoices, which was a 6% increase over 2016, and processed 155 million in accounts receivable. So those so what you're saying is the 37,000 customer invoices is part of the $155 million that you received?
Yeah.
So that's an
that's right.
increase?
Yeah, we cut into a backlog that we had, so we actually made up some ground this year on that processing. That represents some of that. Some of that increase.
Page, on page 36, the Scarlett and St. Clair Bridge.
Yes,
That's been here for 20 years.
yes.
What do you mean that it's been advanced?
Well, I'll let...
When it's been in the books for 20 years, how could it be advanced?
Well, I'll let the staff...
Because your comment was it's being
It
advanced.
is, it has been. We're pushing that one as hard as we can.
Well, it should be. It was there for 20 years.
No, I think we've got over the TTC issue and that kind of stuff, but...
Yeah, yeah.
But you can either, I can either ask Ashley or somebody to answer that one now, or Mike, and, or we'll do it next.
Or do you want to do it next when we go through the departments? And then I've got some individual question. Yeah, I'll wait for those other questions when we go through the stuff. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Councillor DiCiano, I think you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So when you say the new Planning Act, can you just elaborate on that?
Well, the new Planning Act got royal assent 2 days ago?
The OMB reform.
Oh, the OMB reform,
The
okay.
OMB
Oh,
reform.
I'm sorry.
A few days ago.
That's my short,
royal
that's
assent,
my
third
short
reading.
form for...
Okay, so, great. So you mentioned avenues, and there's some changes to this. So can you elaborate at this point? I don't know, because it just got royal assent, but if I'm a resident living off of an avenue, are there any benefits to me from these new changes? And what are they?
Are there any benefits? Well...
Yeah, because you said that it's going to streamline and it's going to bring
Yeah,
more
so
certainty and...
In terms of OMB reform, I think, given that the shift now is to the local government for the decision-making and the way that they've structured the act, I think it's going to change a lot of things here. It's going to put a certain rigor in some of the staff reports that we haven't had previously. It's going to require a certain decorum and change in the way that you as committee and council deal with applications. So it's going to up the level of rigor in that piece. But you're I think, very quickly going to want to deal with how do we deal with these things on a consistency basis. So right now, that is just somewhat less, and someone sees the planning documents as sort of floors on which you can make amendments to change things, sort of willy-nilly. I think when you as council have really understand you've got the final decision here, you're going to want to be more consistent, because people are going to call you out if you're not. And as a result, you're going to be asking staff, please, what's the standard? And if we've got old zoning and maybe antiquated planning work done on an old part of a former municipality, and it hasn't been updated, you're going to want those updates. You're going to want those avenue studies to be in place that you can rely on consistently, I believe. And I think I think the lens is going to change, and I think it'll take 2 or 3 or 4 years for that to sort of evolve. But I can anticipate that is additional work for all of us.
So this new reform, is what you are saying basically code for between councillors and residents? There's going to have to be less NIMBYism, if I can use that word, because the OMB is going to force things back on us if we don't get it right?
I'm not sure that it is the OMB sending things back to you because of that. I think you're going to have to be acutely aware of the opportunity that people have in making investments in the city. It can't be everything's a no, right? You can't end up not investing back in your city. So you're going to have to find a way to have appropriate investments, probably not as, crazy kind of applications that we get now that are, the densities at 2 times coverage and they come in with 10. Well, that surely will start to ebb. But you're going to have to deal with this issue of NIMBYism or rampant development in a much more constructive way, I believe.
And although the OMB is being reformed, they're still up.
We're kind of veering off.
Just one more non-budget question. So in the way it's being reformed, they're still upholding the same provincial policy statements and the same
Yes.
City of Toronto official plans?
That is correct.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your non-budget questions. Next, Councillor Campbell.
Planning and growth, although I am here. Okay, Councillor DiCiano. So in your cluster, Mr. Levy, you've got most of your divisions came in at 0%. I see Toronto Police Service down at the bottom of my sheet came in at 0%, and the fire came in at 1.8%. And I know why it came in at 1.8%, it was because of the arbitration ruling, but at any point in time, was there a discussion telling Toronto Fire Services that irrespective of that arbitration agreement, they need to come in at 0%?
There was that discussion, and what you would probably do is not staff the Downsview Station, the new 21 numbers with new firefighters. You'd probably redeploy and take a truck out of service somewhere else.
So is that something that was considered by Toronto Fire or some other, trimming at the edges, or?
We had that discussion.
Okay, and can you tell me about that discussion?
Well, we've always planned to have a station there it's in our master plan. There's operational implications and reductions in services that we felt were unwarranted, so we came forward with the request.
Okay, we have, on slide 54 of the presentation, I gather that the city's going to be spending $544 million in capital expenditures in the upcoming year. A year ago, we had Andy Byford, I think it was a year ago, came asking for $400 million in contingency to counter claims for the finishing of the TYSSE. And we've been going through the process at the commission of hearing how those claims are being resolved. I would expect that $544 million in capital projects would generate a certain number of claims against the city. Does the city track those claims and how well we do against resolving those claims?
We do. I can tell you this budget includes contingencies for all those claims. I can tell you that over 90% of these things are done on budget, on schedule. So maybe it's a bit of a apples and oranges comparison with a big $3.12 billion subway versus
There was
some of
late.
these. But we've got some big projects in here. That Coxwell bypass sewer is it's a water program, but it's a big one.
Okay.
And the garden is a big project.
The garden will be a very big project. But is there any reporting out that's done on a routine basis on claims, such as has been done with my experience with the TTC?
We look at reports on the programs generally, and it's not specifically to claims. When we see an aberrant claim, it comes to our attention, but to date, there's nothing that's been on our radar that's problematic right now.
Okay. That's it. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions, overall questions? Councilor Burnside.
Thank you, through you. Across your cluster, for your non-unionized staff, what's the average sick days?
It's lower
You
than
may as well, if you don't
lower
mind.
than our unionized rate.
Yeah, well, I want both, actually.
We're running 2.9 on that scrapping. Hold on.
If you don't mind, for both and
Hold on, I got it.
only for full-time employees. Yeah.
Yeah, so year to date, yeah, non-union, year to date, 3.6%.
3.6 days.
Days, sorry, 3.6 days
And sorry, what's year-to-date, November 30th?
to end of October. And local 79, year to date, October to end of October, 6.7, and local 416, 9.1 days.
9.1, okay. What would the, are there any divisions that are unusually high?
There are fire,
Well, I'll be asking fire specifically about their issues.
true, MLS,
MLS,
I,
I can ask them too. Okay. MLS and fire are the,
let me just have a quick, on the non-union side, it's not so evident. PFNA, small division.
have you ever figured out what that cost is to us of sick time over and above what?
You can do the calculation of that number of days against the payroll. I haven't got it right off the top of my head, but we can do that number.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's go into the divisions. City planning. Questions? Okay, seeing no questions on city, Councillor Nunziata had questions on planning.
For planning, the Heritage Conservation District,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay.
That's-
So, are we short-staffed in that area, in that department?
Well, we've, through the chair, we've just hired staff for archaeological review and for studies, I believe. What we're doing is starting to relook at the prioritization of the work program. So we have a report coming forward to Preservation Board and to Planning and Growth Management Committee in January that's laying out, with the capacity of staff that we've got, the number of studies that we can complete in 2018 and a go-forward strategy to prioritize outstanding requests from City Council, including ones that date back some time, in order to systematically accomplish those conservation district studies and plans over the next couple of years.
Okay, so I have a study in Weston that's been in the books for a number of years, and I thought, it was my understanding, and because we've been hiring additional staff, it seems like every year, and my understanding that it will be started, that study, and I'm just told now, because you're understaffed, it's not going to happen. So that's a concern of mine.
Yes, so through the chair, in the report, we've identified the outstanding studies, and we've also identified criteria under which we will consider advancing those studies. One of those criteria is the date from which those requests originate, and the one in Weston does date back quite a while, so
Quite a
that will be
while,
given
yes.
some serious consideration. 2004. To get that advanced as soon as possible,
Yeah,
giving
'cause
a stale date.
I met with staff just a few days ago, and they told me they didn't have enough staff. With the Etobicoke district, we are told from applications that have been submitted in, is that we are short-staffed in Etobicoke, and these applications are not being processed because we're short-staffed. Can you tell me what is going on in Etobicoke?
Well, I can tell you that there's, I believe it's 23 staff that are based in the Etobicoke office, and not unlike the other offices, we've had significant turnover of staff with, I guess I like to call it staff churn, with exits and retirements and promotions, transfer requests. We have an order of consideration to follow when we do that through the HR process. This year, overall, citywide, we've processed over 180 staff requisition forms. So the churn, and that represents almost half of our staff complement. So I think you can see that our staff have highly portable skills. They move around the organization quite a bit. In city planning, they move around in their profession quite a bit. And we are, at the same time, dealing with continually increasing volumes in both our community planning and our community of adjustment world. So these two factors and the whole dynamic, really, of staff churn and turnover is a challenge. I'm not going to say that it's, at any one time, we have had what I would call shortages over periods of time from the complement, and we manage best we can to fill that. We're on track to hire or finish hiring so that we can get to close, we figure, about 25 to 30 vacancies at year end, which for a division of some 400-odd people isn't such a bad outcome, considering the amount of churn that we've had.
Okay, so I really think that we need to look at Etobicoke, because I don't like being at public meetings and being told that we're understaffed, so that's why we can't get back and we can't process applications. Transportation on page 22.
We'll
Pardon?
get there, we're working our way down, so we're just doing city planning right now.
Oh, we're just doing city planning.
You'll get, when we get to transportation. you get
Okay, that's it for city planning.
up. Okay. Councilman Havoc.
I have in my notes here from a previous briefings around the funding of some of these plans, and this is as much a question to Josie, whether we've maximized our ability to use development charges and therefore ease the pressure on just the regular operating budget. Have we maximized all the abilities here with the planners?
Yes, we have. In fact, the growth studies that are in the capital plan are funded from the development charges
So
fund.
there's no other opportunities for using development charges with this department, with planning?
I believe we've maximized all opportunities.
Okay, great, thanks. That's all.
Councillor Campbell.
So in the analyst notes, it says there's 325 community planning applications. Is that broken out by region? North York, Scarborough, Toronto, Etobicoke?
Yes, that's broken out by the 4 districts, that's correct.
So comparing Toronto, or comparing Etobicoke, York with Scarborough, what would be the split?
In the Scarborough district, in the last year, that's to mid-December. We've had 40 applications. In the West District, we've had 74.
74?
South District, 201, and North, 102.
Etobicoke 74?
Yes,
Scarborough 40?
yes.
So why does Scarborough have more people?
Well, it's a kind of a complicated answer in a way, because historically, there's a staff complement there that serves a whole range of planning needs. It's not just driven by applications. It's driven by study work that's underway. The population of the districts is, you're dealing with 700,000 people.
Of what relevance is the population?
Well, it's just, it generates a certain volume of activity and inquiries and demand on planning services.
Okay.
People are always perhaps thinking about doing things and interacting with planning staff. So there's kind of a base need. If you consider people honestly taking vacations and being absent from the office, you need a critical mass of people to run a planning office.
Right, so next question is in regard to Committee of Adjustment applications, 3830. You have those split out, I guess, by region as well, someplace?
Yes, the C of A applications vary by district. Again, Scarborough District being the smallest numbers, and they have the smallest Committee of Adjustment office.
So the notes also say that you've added 19 people. It says 19 people for 2018. Do they mean 17? Didn't council give planning staff last year?
Yes, so
This year, I mean.
so just-
Last year, we gave you staff for this year.
So that's correct.
Right.
We had authorization, and they were hired through the year, just finishing coming online. And they are part of the 19 for this year in terms of converting some of them from temp to perm.
Okay.
So there are a focus there for the Committee of Adjustment, of course, to support the delivery of that program, because we've seen those numbers continue. I mean, they're sustaining at a very high level. We had a record year. I think we're closing in on a record year at committee. So we believe we reset the applications per staff. I think it was around 100, so that we could recalibrate the number of staff to support that volume. So that's 12 of the 19, and then the other 19 are comprised in the notes of staff that will be working on transit planning, on our that are funded by the TDC, staff that are working on web support, which currently is on the side of desk, and we're moving that into a dedicated resource.
So, okay.
And then the C of A office to finish off that service.
So I can appreciate that you've been in your new role. It's still a new role. Will you at some point look at rebalancing some of the, the staffing levels in the offices?
Yes, I think part of the go forward for 2018, as we've been directed, is to undertake an end-to-end review, which has commenced. The end-to-end review will be quite helpful in determining a lot of different aspects of our service that could do with a tune-up. So we're looking forward to undertaking that process.
Because, I mean, when I look at North York, I mean, I listen to my counselors Fillion and Shiner. I mean, I don't even know if 28's the right number there, but I would just encourage you to have a look at rebalancing it.
Absolutely, and the nature of the Committee of Adjustment especially, because that's a high-volume kind of, I call it the hamster wheel of the division, where the applications keep coming in endlessly.
C of A applications are usually handled by a junior planner, though, are they not?
Well, they're handled by a team. There's a senior planner in charge that works in Committee of Adjustment and a deputy secretary treasurer, and they process the application in the committee, but the reviews get undertaken by community planning staff, the actual content of the review.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the answers.
Thank you, Councillor. Next, we'll go on to Waterfront Revitalization Initiative, capital only. Any questions on that? Okay. Engineering Construction Services, Councillor Mihevc.
Thank you very much. No question. I have on my notes here, I'm wondering whether we need a briefing note on it. The issue is, if I recall right, and that might not be accurate, the issue was the use of outside engineers and the cost of those engineers versus having some additional facility inside. Have you done any analysis on, I know it's a net plus cost going out, on what that cost is and whether there's a benefit in saying for some of our projects or for additional projects, we should be taking some of that work inside?
Through the chair, as you know, we restructured the organization about 3 years ago. And one of the things we did actually look at is where is it best to actually contract out the professional engineering services versus keeping that in-house. And so typically what we do on the larger scale projects, the multidisciplinary projects, we contract that out. We just don't have the in-house expertise to undertake that. On the in-house work, we typically have assigned that work to our transportation infrastructure section. These are some of the more, I'll say, challenging projects with respect to work with the BIAs, the TTC streetcar trackway, as well as our road reconstruction projects. So that's the in-house expertise is assigned to those projects. Notwithstanding all of that, on any project, we will have in-house project managers, and whether they be professional engineers or professional project managers assigned, they'll be overseeing an engineering consultant assignment as well as the actual construction contracts. So separate and apart from that, we also have large programs. For example, as the Deputy City Manager said, when we took on the local road resurfacing program, we have external engineers that are now minding the contract administration activities for that program because we just didn't have an opportunity to scale up for the additional work.
Those are the people, that's right. So to give an example that Councilor Nunziata might be attuned to is you hire a contractor to do the contract, then you hire another contractor to monitor the contractor, but that second contractor is working for the city on our side of the fence. And so is there any efficiency, or frankly, at this point, do you need to provide a briefing note to us, and would there be any operating efficiencies to do that kind of analysis between now and the time you report back, which is mid-January?
Through the chair, we've produced that sort of briefing note, I think, about 2 or so years ago, where we did a comparison. For us, the benchmark is it's the cost of engineering against the cost of the capital that's being delivered. So it's fairly straightforward. Like I said, we've done it a couple of years ago.
So you've done it, you don't need to do it again?
I don't imagine that the numbers would be any different than they were 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have the numbers on the number of projects that finish on time and on budget? Or under budget?
Well, through the chair, I can safely, I don't have the numbers with me right now, but if you take a look at our linear projects, the bulk, over 90% of those projects are finished on time and within budget. Our budgets, when we set up a contract for any of those projects, we allow for a 10% contingency allowance, and on the linear projects, it's absolutely rare to actually draw on the contingency, and most of the time, we're returning money back to the city when we close out those contracts And typically, we do that once a year towards the end of the year. We'll close out for 2 years previous, and it's money returned back to the city.
So you say 90% of the projects started or finishing on time. And what was the completion rate in terms of the capital spend?
Yeah, through our shop, on average, we're forecasting 80% at the end of the year. We hit 80% last year, so we're on target. Notwithstanding the fact, as the deputy city manager noted, that we've seen about a $77 million increase in the overall capital budget that's been assigned to our group.
What's your biggest challenge heading into 2018?
The biggest challenge is just as you've heard from some of the other divisions, it's on the staff retention and recruitment. We're still running a fairly high vacancy rate, and one of the challenges we have is for our professional engineering staff and project managers. Right. We're competing with a sector that is very hot right now in the construction industry. We're competing with 905 municipalities that are even paying more than we are here in the city. We're competing against the contractors who are hiring for the same type of expertise. So that's our biggest challenge.
So how are we going to fix that? I mean, obviously, you fix it with more money, right? Or I mean, do you have fewer people, but they're making more money, or how do you do that?
Well, there's a combination of things. So we're meeting with HR to see whether they're on some of the strategic positions. We're not asking for a wholesale increase in all of the salary bands, but some of our key positions, particularly in those where we know that we've had some challenges in recruitment, is to look at expanding the salary bands to where they are today. And I guess the other point, as the councillor noted, we are actually hiring professional engineers, consultants, to actually undertake the work, and particularly in areas where we've had difficulty in recruiting.
So is this, this problem is ultimately probably costing the city money, isn't it, in terms of delays and getting people up to speed if there's significant turnover?
Well, the turnover is one of attrition. That's the key driver.
Attrition meaning retirement or
retirement.
Retirement,
Yes.
okay.
And so that becomes a challenge for us. I think from the time that an individual has noted that they are retiring to the time that we actually have a warm body in that seat, there's a protracted process, as you can appreciate, and a protracted timeline. No differently, I think, for any of the other divisions. But it becomes complicated for us because the construction industry right now is the hottest that we've seen it in a long time.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the answers.
Thank you, Councillor. Next, we'll go on to fire services. Councilman Havoc.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to ask about, sorry, my little Bible has become this appendix 3.4 in the original preliminary operating gross expenditure budget, because these are the things that are not in the budget, but that have been requested by staff or, well, some staff or council at some point or other. And it's the Road to Mental Readiness Training and the Employment Systems Review and Inclusion Plan, those two in particular. Like, what are we buying if we, as council, decide to support those two initiatives?
Through the chair, Councillor, the Road to Mental Readiness Program is a firefighter mental health and resiliency training program that we have started to roll out. So it's an important piece of our training. It is a result of or comes out of our mental health plan and suicide prevention plan. We started the rollout of that this year. It's a program administered by the Canadian Mental Health Commission. At their recommendation, we deliver that from the top down, if you will. So we have completed the rollout of all of our staff to the district chief level. The requested funding will allow us to continue that rollout all the way through the organization over the course of 2018 and early 2019. The employment...
That program is basically some of the things that firefighters experience and see is just to the breaking point. And this is to have those mental health staff or supports in place to deal with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely correct, Councillor. So this is it's a fantastic program. I've completed it myself. So it provides staff with some training and education, to help an individual understand when they've been exposed to something that is problematic for them, when they are experiencing symptoms on a mental health continuum that would require them to go and get professional help. Ultimately, our goal with this is twofold. It is A, to keep our folks healthy and do what we can do to address what's been a troubling suicide problem in our profession. Ultimately, the long-term goal of this will be to bring some control and prevention to some of our WSIB costs. Ultimately, the goal, of course, being to prevent things like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay, the other one is I think I know what it is, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's the Employment Systems Review Inclusion Plan.
Yes, so the Employment Systems Review is something that was recommended by the Community Development and Recreation Committee in response to our ongoing efforts in inclusion. So we have created the framework for a comprehensive inclusion plan, and that's multifaceted. It looked at all aspects of Toronto Fire Services and especially our recruitment processes with the goal of identifying and ultimately eliminating any systemic barriers that may exist with the goal of increasing the diversity rate in both the diversity rate of our applicant pool, but also the diversity rate of the candidates that are being successful through the process. Through the discussions over the past year and a half or so at CDR, the committee made the recommendation that we give consideration to engaging a qualified third-party professional consultant in the form of an employment systems review to come into TFS and analyze not only all aspects of our recruitment process, but literally all aspects of our service for the purposes of helping us to understand barriers we may be unaware of and ultimately to make recommendations to eliminate those barriers.
That's one-time money, right?
Correct, Councillor. That would be one-time consulting money.
Great. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Burnside, you had questions? I did, but rather not. Okay, Councillor Nunziata there. That's fine.
Just one question that Councillor Fragadakis was questioning. On page 18, completed fire code inspections. In your report, all Toronto community housing, high-rise buildings, and senior buildings that you've completed, is that the case?
Through the chair, in 2016, correct, Jim? Yes. In 2016, we adjusted our service levels and reallocated resources on a priority basis for the inspection of certain occupancy types, and that certainly included Toronto community housing. So from 2016 forward, and of course into this year, our fire prevention personnel have inspected every Toronto community housing, every TCH high-rise residential building, every TCH seniors building. So those have been completed in addition to every high-rise residential building in the City of Toronto.
Okay, so, and I know that Councillor Fragadakis expressed concerns because she's had 2 fires, right? Just recently in her ward. So she was asking for a briefing note on a strategy outlining a recommended course of action to address the concerns regarding the recent fire safety issues involving Toronto Community Housing Corporation buildings. So you'll be able to bring that briefing note forward?
Through the chair, we absolutely can, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bailao.
Thank you, Chair. I just
Sorry. Yeah, actually, I apologize. We're doing, I'm always looking to the right. I'll focus on the left a little bit more. Councillor Campbell, then we'll go over to the right.
So it says you've responded to almost 63,000 medical emergencies. Are those those would be all 911 calls, I guess?
Through the chair, those we can receive them from any means. Generally, they are tiered to us or given to us. We're dispatched in accordance with the tiered response protocols in collaboration with Toronto Paramedic Services.
So how is it determined? So in these 63,000 medical emergencies, how often? What's the prevalence of both paramedics and fire responding at the same time?
Through the chair, almost always. Tiered response is, there are a set of criteria by which or for which Toronto Fire Services is tiered or dispatched alongside and in support of paramedics. That criteria is set by the base hospital medical directors, by the doctors with the particular expertise. when the medical professionals determine that there is a reasonable probability or a reasonable likelihood that fire service response will make a net positive difference in patient outcome, they direct that we're tiered and added. So we respond to those critical acuity or high priority calls alongside paramedics.
So then, the medical profession determines in a roundabout way that fire services are required in 63,000 medical emergencies last year.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Because of the criteria.
That's correct,
Has
Councillor.
anybody looked at the criteria to see whether or not it holds water?
Through the chair, on an ongoing basis, Councillor. There is an ongoing standing committee comprised of medical doctors that is continuously reviewing that information against patient outcome.
So why would it be determined that you need a firefighter to attend to a medical emergency rather than a paramedic?
Through the chair, it's actually not a measure of rather than, Councillor. It's a measure of deploying the closest resource with the net goal of having the fastest response time to that emergency. So when critical, I'll give you an example for something like a heart attack. When a heart attack incident comes, that's a tiered response. The system will deploy both the fire service and the paramedic services in order to ensure that we're able to have trained and equipped emergency personnel arrive on that scene in the shortest amount of time possible.
So if we had, for example, hypothetically, if we had the same number of firefighters as we do have paramedics and they were all in the same stations, we wouldn't need both services to arrive at a scene, would we?
Through the chair, a little difficult for me to speculate, Councillor. One of the things that makes the tiered response criteria, the tiered response program work is the fire service deployment model is different than the paramedic services deployment model. So because fire service has a dual responsibility, we have responsibility for human risk mitigation, if you will, so things like protecting people, but we also have an obligation for property risk mitigation. For that reason, fire services is deployed strategically across the city with, of course, fire stations in each community and in reasonable travel distances from each other. The paramedic deployment model, although I'm not the expert in Chief McEachin's deployment model, the paramedic model is different than that. By utilizing the two concurrently, we can maximize the level of service provided to our residents in the time of a medical emergency.
So we can maximize the level of service, but we might also have an excessive level of service in some circumstances. Now, the budget is up $8 million, as I was questioning Mr. Levy about. What would it have taken for Toronto Fire Services to come in at the target of 0%?
Through the chair, we did that assessment, Councillor, and that was submitted with our initial budget submission. In order for us to reach the net zero target, it would require two things. First off, the crew required to open the Downsview station would not be added, so there would be a relocation of resources or a relocation of a crew to open that station with a net impact. And in addition to that, there would be a reduction of 3 frontline trucks and crews in order to meet net zero.
Could staff not have been redeployed from other parts of the city to fill the Downsview positions?
As I stated, Councillor, yes, and that was part of the assessment. We did the impact assessment on that. In accordance with the Fire Protection Prevention Act, City Council always maintains the right and responsibility for setting the fire protection service levels in the city. If directed, we absolutely could open that station with a relocated crew, although there would be service level implications as a result of doing that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? Councillor Burnside. Okay, why not? Well,
I just want to follow up on the TCHC number. So you said you've inspected all the high-rise and seniors buildings since 2016. So what is left? How many buildings are left for inspection?
Through the chair, as the chief indicated, following the February 2016 fire, the chief directed a service level adjustment to prioritize to the TCH high-rise and seniors buildings. We have not reallocated resources to inspect the remainder of the 2,100 buildings that residential buildings that Toronto community has. So, for example, we have not inspected the 72 mid-rise buildings, the 29 low-rise buildings, or the almost 1,000 townhomes and 1,000 single-family resident homes.
Okay. And how many fires have we had at TCHC in the last few years?
So through the chair, we certainly, especially after the sad announcement of the third fatality last night from the Flemington Road fire, we've been doing some calculations. So from 2016 to January 1st, 2016 to as of last night, there have been 11 fatalities in Toronto community housing properties, representing 37% of the total fire deaths in the city over that time period. On February 5th, 2016, we lost 4 occupants at 1315 Nielsen Road. On December 4th, as Councillor, as you know, we lost 3 more at Flemington Road. Since that same time period, we have responded to 311 fires at Toronto community housing properties. Some of the other numbers that we have calculated from 2012 until December of 2013, the fire fatality rate in Toronto community housing buildings is 4 times the remainder of the rest of the City of Toronto and 3 times the rest of the remainder of the province of Ontario. The final calculations that we have done is between 2010 and 2017, Toronto Fire Service has responded to 51 major fires, which meets the provincial threshold requiring investigations. Those 26 of those 51 fires, 26 were deemed to have major violations that contributed to loss of life and or spread of fire. Of those 26 fires, we had 24 fatalities and 19 critical injuries. So that provides a synopsis.
So I do understand that TCHC has put a substantial amount of money into their budget to, on their side, deal with it. But don't you think that this should be a priority to the Toronto Fire Service as well?
Through the chair, this is absolutely a priority for Toronto Fire Services
But
Council.
I don't see it as an enhancement in your requests.
You're correct. There is not, in light of the net zero pressure, there is not a request in our budget for new and enhanced. I can tell you,
But to tackle this issue properly, wouldn't you probably need the resources to do it?
through the chair, Councillor, for us, we've done those calculations. For us to appropriately address the TCH portfolio-wide issue, yes, we would need to create a staff task force dealing specifically with Toronto community housing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, Councillor Burnside, you're on.
Thank you. Through you, you're identified for, I'll say maybe a bit of a sick time issue. By my calculations, if you're using the 8-hour day, which is kind of the standard, by my calculations in late August, maybe even late September, the Toronto Fire is on target for about 15 days per employee. Is that fairly accurate?
Through the chair, it's difficult for us to calculate at 8 hours, Councillor, and if you'll bear with me for 1 second, I'll explain why. We have staff that work 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 10, and 12 and 24-hour shifts.
Okay, sorry, can I interrupt you only because I have 5 minutes? Not
Of course.
to be rude. Let's look at the, I'm talking firefighters, 24-hour shift.
Okay. So the number I can give you, Councillor, is for the 3888 staff, of course, the overwhelming majority of which is in operations firefighters. So as it stands right now, we are on track for 9 12-hour days. That's what we're forecasting for the end of the year.
108 hours, which is 13 and a half days?
I'll take your math as correct, Councillor, if you convert it to 8, yes.
Okay, 13 and a half, okay. And that's above, that's above the police for sure, and I think it's above the city average of about 11, correct?
Yeah, through the chair, I don't have the police data,
Okay.
sorry.
Can I ask what you're doing about it?
Through the chair, absolutely. So we are, to the extent that we can, we are managing attendance as aggressively as possible. I will say, Councillor, that we are challenged by some now historical factors within the collective agreement. In 2003, arbitrator Teplitsky awarded and implemented an attendance management program that since has been very difficult for us in that it sets a lower threshold, so the gateway, if you will, at which people enter the attendance management program was arbitrarily set at 9 days.
9 days, yeah.
So we're not at liberty to adjust that. That will require collective bargaining. We've been unsuccessful in amending that through arbitration at this point.
Oh, well, I think I'll talk to my union friends, because I think they might be open to discussing that one. Okay, thank you. That kind of pretty much kills the whole thing, but I do have one question regarding that. As part of attendance management, are home visits permitted or not?
I'm sorry, Councillor, I don't know.
Are home visits. The police department, they used to, actually, when someone called in sick years ago, the sergeant on shift used to go and, if he or she suspected that maybe the person wasn't sick, they used to do a home visit. Are you allowed to do that?
Through the chair, at this point, no, Councillor. When one of our staff members phones in sick, the information we're provided is simply to be informed that they are sick and unable to report to work, and there's an estimation as to when they expect to be able to return to work.
Okay, thanks. In terms of the, I want to shift gears to the island. How many firefighters are stationed there, and is it year-round?
Through the chair, yes. Station 335 on the island is staffed year-round full-time. There are 5 firefighters on shift, so a full crew on the island 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So what does that translate into? Is that like 20 firefighters assigned? Because I know you do 24-hour shifts, 7 days out of 30, so is that about 20, 22 firefighters assigned to that station?
Through the chair, yeah, it's a full crew, Councillor, at 20.
20?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. And in the off-season, how many calls would they respond to?
Through the chair, I can tell you, Councillor, that in 2016, so last year, the total emergency incident volume on the island was 171 emergency incidents. Our highest months in any given year, the year with the flood, of course, this year's been a little bit of an anomaly, but in a normal year, highest volumes are in June through September, with July being the highest month across the year.
Right, and you have 20 firefighters at about 3. What's that station costing you, about $4 million?
The staffing cost for a crew is about $2.7 million a year.
Plus the running of the station, so about $3 million?
I'm sorry, plus?
The total cost about $3 million?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's probably pretty close. 2.7 in staffing costs, and then whatever the operating cost to operate the station. So yeah, likely 3 million, Councillor.
Is there a way to, and just touching on Councillor Campbell's question, is there a way to somehow integrate, like, it seems to me that, what did you say, there were 171 calls? That's about 15 calls a month, or one every 2 days? It seems to me to be a really poor use of our resources and the paramedics' resources. Is there a way to somehow integrate and put those two services, somehow have firefighters that are, because I know there are various programs across the province that's looking at that, where the firefighters could actually be trained to be paramedics and at least save a couple bodies, and I know that's my last question.
Through the chair, as I said earlier, Councillor, the right and responsibility to set the protection levels on the island lies with City Council. So there is really nothing precluding City Council from directing any particular service level on the island. There is a fire crew there 24. My understanding is Chief McEachern deploys a paramedic crew 24/7 as well on the island. So medical calls that is the highest percentage of emergency call volume on the island. It's about 66% of the total volume. The challenge for us in a blended model, or a model that could result in a reduction in our fire protection service levels, is to meet our obligation to provide a reasonable basic fire protection level for the structures and the businesses on the island, and supporting the structural fire response to Billy Bishop. Not air side, but structural side.
Okay, my math could be wrong, but it's like $20,000 a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions on fire? Thank you very much. We'll go on to municipal licensing and standards. Councillor Mahevik.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just wondering about your ability to do your task. Your approved complement, do you have enough staff? Should I be asking for a briefing note on your ability to do your task, given especially your new responsibilities in the various areas that have been assigned to you?
So through you, Mr. Budget Chair, as we have had to take on additional work, such as with the licensing of PTC, short-term rental, we have come in as well as.
You forgot another category.
Pardon?
You forgot another group.
The backyard chicken crew.
Hens.
Yeah, sorry, the backyard hen crew. Once we've assessed what the pilot looks like, then we'll be able to determine what impacts that might be. We're anticipating, because this is a study time, that we'd be better served and council will be better served for us to have some data on what the impacts are in advance of making any resource requests.
Like Airbnb is what I'm thinking.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Budget Chair, on the short-term rental report that was just at council, we did make a request for additional staff. That was 5 permanent, 3 temporary, and they are included in the new and enhanced piece of the budget that is before you.
Oh, I see, okay. But I've noticed that some of your standards have been taken down. For example, inspections are, 75% of property standards inspections are resolved within 60 days, which means 25% of the complaints take longer than 65 days to resolve. Does that make, and that's related to staff shortages. Could you explain that, or?
So through you, Mr. Budget Chair, I'm not sure which particular standard you're speaking about, Councillor Mihevik. I can say that the matter of the service level standards and the metrics are a significant body of work that we've been working through and undertaking into next year to really right-size them. They were set quite some time ago. You know, an example would be one of the service standards we have is a 48-hour response to a noise complaint, or a 5-day response to a noise complaint, a 48-hour response to a dog off-leash complaint, and we have to look at those in the context of the expectations. And once we've implemented some of the work on our business analytics and being able to be a little bit more predictive on where we think we need to be, I'm expecting those service level standards to shift. Certainly, I would say that there has been an impact to our ability to respond because we did have to deal with the onslaught of the proliferation of illegal marijuana dispensaries, which took staff out of the existing complement and redeployed to that purpose. So we may see a little bit of a slide on the number of days to respond in that regard. So there's been a number of factors. I'll add as well that we did take a little bit longer this year again to hire. We just hired 26 new MSOs. So we spent 8 months of the year almost down that number, plus the time to train, et cetera. So, you know, we're still stabilizing on that front, but I don't think it's necessarily a direct correlation to staff shortage from an overall complement perspective at this point.
Okay, and I guess you will be part of the conversation around where marijuana will be sold, so that if there are additional responsibilities that fall to you, we're going to make sure that we get some of that federal/provincial money to be able to take on that new task.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Budget Chair, that we have been very much involved in the dialogue around what the municipal impact may be on the legalization of recreational use cannabis. There has been some work as well done to try to quantify what we think those dollars and resource impacts may look like now that we somewhat understand the regime that we may have to deal with. We don't fully understand on the consumption side where that may impact as far as parks enforcement, et cetera. So we have been very clear in articulating that while we do not know the full quantum of the impact, that there will be an impact and that we'll be seeking restitution in that regard.
Okay, we'll get reports on that throughout the year.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else.
Okay, Councillor Nunziata.
Yeah, just one question. My concern is the number of outstanding reports that you haven't been able, so as far as the outstanding reports, so would you say like what sort of support do you need in those areas? Because we have outstanding reports that have been outstanding for a few years.
A long time.
Yeah, so I mean, they should, in my opinion, they should be brought up and it should be a priority. And so we're introducing new, but we have a lot of outstanding ones as well.
We do. Through you, Mr. Budget Chair, one of the things I have done, Councillor Nunziata, is through the various changes that's occurred in the organization, added additional staff into the policy side. We have, I think, about 160 outstanding directives. And part of our challenge is, as we get rid of one, we inherit 3. So, you know, the ability to serve council insofar as answering back on those that are priority to the community, we're doing our best at. But more to come. I think there is an opportunity for us internally to address some of the backlog where we've bundled different directives into projects. I will say some of those projects are significant in their undertaking, such as the review of our licensing bylaw. So it is a priority. We have added additional staff, including temporary staff, but as I'm sure everyone else experiences, there's a bit of a turn as very talented, smart people end up with other opportunities, and we seek to bring some more in. So you know, it's a bit of a battle, but I think really the important piece for this is that we stay focused on what the priorities from a policy perspective are. And unfortunately, that means that in some cases, some of the one-off types of requests end up getting moved to the bottom of the list, unfortunately. I don't know that we'll ever catch up wholly unless there's no additional requests for reports. I'll leave that one with you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions on MLS? Councillor Burnside.
Thank you. Through you, just wanted to continue on about sick time.
Sure.
What's the, I understand your division's one of the higher ones in this cluster. What are the numbers, please?
So actually, thank you for the question. Through you, Mr. Budget Chair. In prior years, we have had an improvement in our reduction in sick time for 2017. So we are not one of the top flyers, though we are unfortunately still in the top 4 or 5. So on all affiliations, on average sick days, we're at 7.1 days. When you back out those absences that are greater than 40 days, we're at approximately 4.7 days. Our divisional average on the attendance management program is 7 days, and we do have a fair number of staff that are involved in that program. As far as the non-union staff, we're approximately 3.2 days. I guess that's not approximate. As far as Local 79 staff, we're at 7.5 days, and Local 416, which is our animal services staff, we're at 10.4.
Okay. And so they're coming down.
They are coming down. This is the lowest we've been in the last 3 years anyway.
And the people over 40, are they not on long-term disability?
Through you, Mr. Budget Chair, not all, no. No, this is absent those that have moved on to the long-term disability ranks.
And sorry, what were your numbers last year for Local 79, 416, and non-unionized staff?
Sure. So our non-union in 2016 was 8 days. Our Local 79 last year was 9.5, and Local 416 was 11.8.
8. So your non-unionized staff was 8 days?
It was last year, yes.
And it went down to 3.2?
That's correct. I treat my staff well, I guess.
Yeah, but you've been there more than 1 year.
Well, lessons are hard some years and better some others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Seeing none, I think we're done with, oh, sorry, Councillor Davis had a question. Apologize.
I have tried to do this online without paper this year, so I've taken notes on my PDF, so you'll have to be a bit patient. The first question has to do with the 11 new positions. Are they temporary or permanent? And
through you, Mr. Budget Chair. So in light of the fact the patio cafe report did not go forward, it will actually be a new of 8. That 8 is including 5 permanent and 3 temporary. And that's for the short-term rental Airbnb file.
And originally, we were going to have the administrative penalty system in place as one of the sanctions around the apartment buildings bylaw. And I'm wondering if work has been done on that and whether or not you think we will be using the APS for the apartment building bylaw.
Through you, Mr. Budget Chair, that is absolutely one of the goals, and we do have that embedded in the bylaw to be able to do that, absolutely. We are ways away from being able to implement administrative penalties. The city is just transitioned on the parking tag side. We have had discussions in the context of our plans for our new systems that we are able to facilitate administrative penalties as well. It is a significant body of work from a technology standpoint as well as a staffing resource standpoint to develop positions such as hearing officers, et cetera. So we are going to be looking to, if we can leverage the existing administrative penalty system that has been put in place. But to say, quite honestly, through 2018, we're not going to be there yet. There's a lot of work that needs to happen on it, Councillor Davis.
Okay, so I asked this of court services staff as well. Is there a way to expedite it? You know what, I'm going to ask that one offline because I know it's going to take a long time.
Sure.
Can you break down the revenue, the $1 million of unanticipated revenue from Uber?
Through you, Mr. Budget Chair.
Not right here, but are you able to do that? How much came from the licenses, how many licenses, all of that? Because there's $918 million of unanticipated or under-budgeted revenue.
So through you, Mr. Budget Chair, the bulk of that monies comes from the 30-cent per trip fee. The budget last year, I believe we budgeted 49,500 trips per day. This year, we're budgeting at 57,000 trips per day. So that is the delta, the 900 some odd thousand incremental revenue coming from the PTC.
Are you able to provide any more detail on that? And there was supposed to be a report 1 year in, and obviously that didn't happen. So could you provide us some greater breakdown of number of licenses, trips, whatever data you have that gives us a snapshot of
Certainly.
what's happening?
So through you, Mr. Budget Chair, currently as of December 13, we have licensed 52,000.
Wait, I don't mean right now, but is it possible to get a briefing note on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I was so ready.
The other thing was business license performance standards. There's a bunch of performance standards too on MLS that have dropped to 60%. And I was wondering why.
So through you, Mr. Budget Chair, as I did mention previously, Councillor Davis, we are still recasting how we are pulling the performance measures and whether they are actually applicable and really tell the story about the service levels that we provide. There has been, and I'm just looking at business licensing, as far as some of the measures we're actually performing better than we had anticipated, though in others, as I mentioned, Councillor Mihevc, we did have to redeploy, we had to redeploy some staff to deal with some pressing issues such as the illegal cannabis dispensaries. We also had a significant number of vacancies that took us longer in the year to hire than we had anticipated. Overall, we're not too far off, but the issue of service levels, performance measures is a large body of work that we're still focusing on and hope to make significant gains on through 2018 so we can tell our story in a more meaningful way.
The other thing I get complaints about are lineups at the East York Civic Center. And I'm wondering if you measure that. I noticed there are a number of measures, but not how long you have to wait to get service.
Oh, well, through you, Mr. Budget Chair, I'll ask my good director to share that information with you.
Through the chair, Councillor, we've been implementing a number of counter management strategies, and our current percentage of clients waiting 20 minutes or less are 78%, which is up significantly from 2014, for example, where it was 61%. And the average wait time to see a client services representative is 13 minutes in 2017, again up significantly. In 2015 it was 19. So we are employing strategies to deal with those bulges in the bulk of the middle of the afternoon, the lunch periods where we get those rushes, and we're monitoring that closely.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
No other questions? Thank you very much. We'll go on to the next. It's PPFA, Policy Planning, Finance, and Administration. I think there are no questions on that. Okay. Toronto Building. Questions on Toronto Building? Seeing none, the last will be transportation services.
Okay, transportation.
And we have questions. Going once. Okay, Councilor Mahevik, all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me first priority. I appreciate
The
it.
first hand up every time.
Okay, yes. I've learned in grade school, put your hand up real fast. The teacher will notice you. I have 7 areas that, and I'm really wondering which ones may or may not require briefing notes so that, to not take up too much time here. So one is decreasing winter maintenance. I know that you're proposing doing a little bit, given historic averages. Usually we put that money in a reserve account. I forget what the quantum was, and if we have some extra money, because it's been a light year, you put it into a reserve account. Are we decreasing our actual standards on the ground?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, we are not. We are maintaining our service levels and continuing to look at our deployment. What we've done this year is go back. Actually, we've gone through our budget on a line-by-line basis to look to adjust actuals with past year expenditures, and the same for winter maintenance, where we've reduced by just over $2.5 million on our budget this year, which is in line with what we've actually spent over the last. We've looked back through 2012, with the exception of the anomaly of the ice storm. And so we've adjusted and right-sized that budget, which we believe is a conservative, but more in line with what we would actually spend.
Okay, and that's climate change, I guess, or whatever. Yeah. Okay, great. That's helpful. So no note there. The decision around BIA locates. Do we need? Well, actually, not BIA locates that we were going to charge the BIAs for 50%. Is that under your budget?
The one call, actually, this 2018 budget is being absorbed, the city's portion by ECDEV, Economic
Also,
Development.
that doesn't apply to us. Okay, that's great. Thank you. 2 on cycling.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's actually not being absorbed. It's going to be a pressure because council, at its last meeting, chose to make the other 50%.
So do we need to ask for a briefing note on that, or?
We need briefing notes. No.
Sorry?
There will be a transmittal from council as we wrap up to
Okay.
tell you that you need to spend more
We
money.
need to figure that out, yeah. Okay, great, thank you. So that's in a good line. Crossing guards. So now that's in your budget. Are we taking it from the police budget, or are we just adding it to these folks' budget? Like, it seems to me that it's an interdepartmental shift, and it shouldn't be seen as a pressure on these folks.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the city is taking through transportation responsibility over
Yes.
for the crossing guard program, but on a transition or interim basis, police services will continue to deliver it until transportation can actually get up and running. We have to get the contracts in place. So we took the money from the budget from police over here, and then we're charging back, or police will continue to do the work and recover from the city in that interim period until these folks are ready for the, I think it's the September 2019.
So both departments will be left whole as a result of that?
They will be left, so we were able to actually transfer the direct costs and half of the indirect costs from police services for their existing crossing guard expenses. The difference that you see here as a new request is the fact that we don't have that capacity to use as a backfill police officers when a crossing guard doesn't show up, because that did not cost them. They would redeploy officers. So our contract with the city as a deliverer now has to take that into account, which is a cost that the police services budget did not have directly.
But shouldn't the police be paying for that? Shouldn't we be taking that from the police?
Through you, Mr. Chair, well, they would have just been absorbed because a police officer would have had that as a priority deployment.
Yes, okay, got it, okay. Okay, I have 2 on cycling. And here's kind of what I'd like to do, and I'd just like your opinion on it. We have a 10-year cycling plan. We've gotten some good investments from the province. We also have the Eglinton cycling piece that is here that starts spending in 2022. If we were to say to you to prepare something for 2019, so not 2018, but 2019, to say, you know what, let's, as a council, establish a goal to do it this term. I'm just wondering the wisdom of that briefing, whether that briefing note is something that you could do, and whether that's really a doable, say, over one term of council.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we are planning on rebaselining and looking at our cycling portfolio and coming back to council in 2019 with those programs. In terms of what the end date would be, it's a 10-year capital outlook, so I can't commit at this point that we could get that done within one term of council, but we're certainly, with the influx of resources from the province, we certainly have a need to look at all those projects over the course of our current plan.
So in that study, so without asking for a briefing note, could you, as part of that work, say, have as one of the options, let's do it this term, let's finish it off this term?
We can certainly look at acceleration options as part of that work.
Okay, so I won't ask for a briefing note on that.
You got 6 minutes there. Can you ask the questions offline, or do you want to ask them online about briefing notes? Or do you want to do a second? There's one more counselor. How much more time do you have?
Probably a minute.
Okay, you might as well go, and then we'll.
Sidewalks, do we have enough money, given our pedestrianization plan in the area of sidewalks? Given our pedestrianization goals?
Through you, we actually have a goal to start work on our next phase of our walking strategy, or an active and healthy city strategy, where we'll again look at the funding for new infrastructure. We've never had a challenge in having more sidewalks forecasted that we could construct within our capital budget, so we don't see a shortfall at this time with our plans as they currently are.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
I'm going to take a slightly different approach on the cycling question. Under what circumstances would we remove a bike lane? Under what circumstances would we remove a cycling lane?
Through you, we would look holistically at the performance of that lane, and we would look at it in terms of our Vision Zero goals with regard to safety issues and connectivity issues. We would do that kind of analysis before we would remove an existing lane.
Would we look at it in the context of congestion management?
I think that as we get more technology, and we know through the King Street pilot, as we start to look more repeatably at travel times and safety information and volumes, we are learning more about what impact cycling facilities actually have on congestion, and so we'll continue to monitor that.
So I'm thinking specifically of the bluer bike lanes, which I supported, but the data showed that a lot of cyclists had left DuPont. And DuPont, I don't know how many years ago, but was reduced to one lane. And in the morning when I come to work, I fortunately miss DuPont. I come along Dundas, but I see a very long line of gridlock that extends from Annette eastward. So under what circumstances would city transportation look at saying, maybe it's not worth it to have a bike lane that's not overly utilized, but that is causing undue delays for drivers? Under what circumstances would you look at that? Is that something that transportation services would give consideration to?
Through the chair, the general manager mentioned about looking at how cycling facilities are performing in terms of safety issues and in terms of connectivity. With regard to DuPont specifically, the section of DuPont that has bike lanes is west and is not parallel to the section of Bloor Street that has bike lanes.
Oh, it's Annette on one side, and then it's DuPont, and it's DuPont in.
So further to your question, I think that as we get more data about the impacts on the network, and we have more repeatable data on volumes and where traffic is going and how it's shifting throughout the system, we will certainly consider cycling facilities as part of that mix, as an overall look at how the transportation network is performing, and we would come back with projects and programs based on that information.
Okay, I have a bike. I rode the Bloor bike lanes. Okay, so in the presentation, this is something I've also heard from our transportation people out in Etobicoke. There's an automated survey to update pavement and right-of-way asset inventories, and there's a truck that's going around, I guess. Has that work been completed?
Through you, that work has just been completed in terms of the field work. It's an exciting program. It's the first time that we've had actual data-driven pavement condition information around which to base our capital program and our state of good repair and understand our backlog. What we do not yet have is a full analysis of all of that data. So, and in 2018, second quarter, we will have that full analysis around which to base our asset inventories moving forward, as well as life cycle costing, as well as our state of good repair backlog information for 2019, which we mentioned in the briefing note we'd be coming back with a revised version of that.
So that was very specialized equipment, I guess, that went out. And is that equipment that we own, or we?
Through it's contracted services.
And so it takes 6 months to analyze that data?
Through the consultant is actually doing a pilot study on a smaller number of roadways to look at, it actually captures a pretty significant share of the assets, not just the pavement condition, which it does through data, pavement penetrating radar, thank you.
Right.
But it also looks at the vertical assets as well, looks at signs, it looks at signals, and so sidewalk condition, and so we're looking to see how reliable that data is around which to base our asset inventories on each of those asset classes. So we're doing the pilot first. The data's been collected, and so it's going to take a little bit longer to determine the deeper dive we want to do on each asset class. But we believe that by the midpoint of next year, we'll have that information.
Okay, so a couple more questions. The watcher speed, the school safety zone signs are very good, and I've called Sheldon Koo and found out that the data shows that they're effective, which is great news. The mobile watcher speed program trailers, I've heard from some of our people that we're getting more of those. Is that, but this just says the PowerPoint presentation doesn't say that. Have we decided to buy more of those because they're?
Through we have both the permanent ones and the mobile ones, and the acceleration report that we did for Vision Zero talked about our proposal for each of those. We're planning to increase to 44 the total number of watcher speed signs to be rotated throughout the city. So those are the mobile ones, so increase to 44.
We only have, it says, we only have 4 of the program trailers. With 4 watcher speed program trailers, there's like 1 in every quadrant.
The report that was before you last week that was looking at acceleration options proposed that as an acceleration option.
Okay.
Currently, we're looking at from 20, though, I believe. Yeah, so we purchased a total of 20 of them in 2017.
So my last question has to do with traffic congestion. We spent a lot of time and resources were devoted to moving the 65,000 people along King Street, the King Car. What is Transportation Services doing to move the people that are trying to get in and out of the city down to the Gardner Expressway? So those that are traveling down Bay Street, down Jarvis, down Spadina, down University Avenue to get to the Gardner Expressway, which is a traffic nightmare almost all day now. I mean, from mid-afternoon till sometimes we leave here at 8:30 at night, and it's still congested. What resources, can you mobilize the same kind of resources to solve that as we did with King Street and make the same kind of changes to either pedestrian traffic or signal timing or?
Your last question, Councilor.
So through you, there's a number of things that we have on the go right now. The first is, as part of or related to the King Street pilot, is we've defined a no-fly zone for any new construction staging areas, because the construction is part of the challenge, which takes an already constrained system and makes it even more constrained in various spots and places. We're certainly looking at, and you'll see in our budget proposal, some proposals to increase our quick clear squads and also to increase what was a successful pilot program that looked at moving traffic through intersections, our traffic wardens. And we saw in the pilot project that we did this year about a 92% improvement in throughput through those intersections for both traffic and pedestrians. Many of these solutions are quite site-specific, and so having the resources to be able to do active management in an already constrained and growing system is, I think, what is our plan moving forward.
Okay, thanks for the answers.
Councilor Nunziata, questions?
Yes. So on the permanent cameras, you know, the ones with the speed, yeah. How do you request it? Because on Dundas, near Dundas and Bloor, within 2 blocks, there's 3 of them. And what I don't understand is why is it that when we ask for them, we don't have any? When you have
Through
3
you, the red light cameras? Counselor, are you referring to the red light cameras or
No, no, those the cameras that are on the poles, and it gives you your speed.
Oh, the watch your speed signs. So
And
the
it
watch.
gives you your speed, and so you have 3 of them at Dundas and Bloor, 3, within 2 blocks. And how do we apply for, I mean, how do we request it?
So through you, Mr. Chair, so Dundas and Bloor, I believe the location I'm thinking of is a senior safety zone, and so all of this is a Vision Zero program. So we look at the data around where we have collisions, we look at where we have speeding challenges, we look at the configuration of where we think those signs would make a difference, and that's where we deploy them.
So
If there are
how do I-
specific locations in your area where you want us to take a second look, we're happy to do that.
So do we just request it from you where we?
You can certainly ask us to look at some specific locations that you've noted are challenges with speeding, and we'll go back and take a look at them, yep.
So you would put 3 in an area? Because that's not a senior's area. Dundas and Bloor is not a senior's residence.
Through you, if I'm thinking of the same place, Dundas and Bloor, just north of Bloor Street, there is a senior safety zone. We just put it in
No, this is on
last year.
Dundas.
On Dundas.
Dundas.
We can certainly take a look at that. I'm
Yeah.
not aware of the specific configuration of those.
It runs from Manette to Bloor Street. There's 3 of them.
The other location where we are deploying those routinely is school zones.
Okay, yeah, I know, but that's not a school zone. Well, as far as the year to expand the red light camera program, so where are these red light cameras going?
Through you, we've expanded the program from 79 to just under 150 locations in the city. And there was a map that came to council earlier this year that
Oh, okay, so it was
identified
that
where
map.
those locations are.
So, you know, I have a question. I had a public meeting recently and with the police, and we looked at, the police indicated the number of calls that they get from residents that people don't stop at stop signs, right? They rolling stop signs or going through stop signs, so of course they call the police to come and enforce. I mean, you know, and the police have limited resources and to kind of monitor stop signs. So have we ever thought of maybe requesting the province as far as getting cameras at stop signs?
Through you, I'm not aware of a request on cameras. We are looking at all of our warrants. In 2018, we're going to finish a complete warrant analysis, so the warrants for stop signs are something we'll certainly take under consideration in 2018. We'll be coming back with some revisions to that this
But
year.
never any thought about possibly putting cameras in certain areas where there's an issue?
We'd have to, you are correct, we'd have to seek authority from the province to do that.
Exactly, okay,
yep.
okay. So that's good, because that's what we should do, okay. Recently, and this is my last question, recently, Bell, and there's also Rogers Gas, but in particular Bell, has gone throughout the city, and they're they're expanding their service, and they're going through the different communities and digging up people's front yards, digging up our boulevards, and they're making a mess. They're not restoring people's properties or even city property, and leaving their equipment there for weeks at a time. Are they getting permits from us? And if they are, like, what are the fees for that? Because me personally, in my ward, I've received so many complaints, and I think it's citywide, actually, that Bell was digging up everyone's
So through you,
phones.
Mr. Chair. So Bell, pardon me, has had an accelerated Home to 5 program, and this is year 2 of a 3-year program. So a number of the permits and activities that have been taking place this year, just from Bell alone, is close to 10,000 permits. However, they do pay a fee for that, and as of January 1st, they will be responsible to fully restore the boulevard, the sidewalk, or the roadway as a permanent restoration. So right now, any activity that's taking place between now and the end of the winter season, unfortunately,
Yeah.
will not be restored just because of the weather itself. Concrete
Right.
will not cure if that's required. If, however, they are leaving machinery or if they are leaving a mess,
Equipment and everything.
then absolutely that is something that should be referred to Transportation Services, and an enforcement officer will visit the location.
Okay, because what we've been doing is trying to call Bell, and we've been very unsuccessful in doing that. So they're coming back in the spring then to restore all the people's properties and our boulevards and all the damage that they've done.
So just to be clear, boulevards, yes. Any new activity?
What about private property?
Oh, absolutely, on private property as well. And any right-of-way excavation as of January 1st, they'll be doing. The city will be undertaking all existing cuts moving forward.
Thank you. I guess we'll go to the.
Yeah, that's it. I don't have.
Anybody else want to ask any budget questions or non-budget questions? Councillor Davis will be the last.
Councillor Davis, 3 minutes.
Yeah. So, just really quickly, how much is in here in the capital budget for introducing the green development standards in our capital work this year?
We are working on green infrastructure with our partners at ECS and Toronto Water, and we've...
I mean, green infrastructure.
Yeah, green infrastructure. So we've got a program, pilots, we're doing some pilot projects
I
in
know that.
2018.
I just want to know how much money are we dedicating to the additional
Through you,
implementation?
$1 million.
That's both water and transportation?
That's transportation only.
And what's water then? They told me 1 million. Have they got 1 million?
I could get back to you with that information. I don't have it at hand.
Through the
You
chair,
don't
I
know.
suspect it's in the order of the same because these are joint projects, Toronto Water with transportation delivered by ECS.
Right, so I just want to know, is this 1.2 million in total, or is that the joint project total? Anyway, I can get it later.
We can get back to you with that information.
Understanding it better, because I think we should be doing more than just pilots. I see the leaf pickup is still in here. It's gone up in price. How much is Etobicoke leaf pickup costing us this year?
That program is also in
How much is
Scarborough.
Etobicoke and Scarborough leaf pickup this year?
Through you, it, is that, just over 700,000, and there is an increment that is around notification to the customer that had come out of the budget previously that was put back in, so people knew when to put their leaves out.
Okay. You're reversing the arterial road sweeping, which was done with one-time funding last year. Does this mean you're building it into the base, or you're taking it out? Arterial road sweeping we put in the budget last year. It was $2 million. It was taken from a reserve. And
Nothing's
we're
changed.
reversing it.
Yeah, nothing's changed with that, Councillor. We're still
it's going to-
retaining the same level of service.
You're continuing with the arterial road sweeping.
It was the funding source that was from the
Yes.
tax stabilization. So it's only the restoration of tax funding that's the pressure.
That was my question. Is it in the base now? Yes. Okay. And the road safety plan positions, they're being changed from temporary to permanent. Is that correct?
Through you, that's correct. Those were the ones that were anticipated in the initial road safety plan work program that council adopted in 2016, and this is the last tranche of them as
And
permanent.
so there are several jobs in here that are temporary, some of them in, one of them in the development application review compliance. Why are we hiring temporary people when we know that development review is exponentially greater, and knowing that we now have development charges or new user fees that have been given to transportation services for the review, I assume that we should have an ongoing This is a temporary 2-year position for a traffic planning technologist, generated from the development application review. Why wouldn't we make that a permanent position?
Through you, that's to address the backlog in North York with the significant uptick in development. We are taking a good look at our staffing related to development review as part of our org review, and so we'll be coming back with that in 2018.
And part of the, oh, maybe I won't go there. The street furniture, you're adding additional staffing to locate street furniture, and I'm wondering, is that an indication of us falling behind in terms of placing shelters? One of the things that we have not seen for a long time, at least I haven't, maybe I missed it, which is we used to get an annual report on where we were on our street furniture rollout. Are we up to date in the street furniture rollout from Astral? Have they put on the street all of the furniture they were supposed to?
Through you, we are up to date. The 100,000 that's in here is to have some dedicated time to address those bus stop relocations promptly with TTC's recommendations. And we actually are in the process of doing a 10-year review of that contract with Astral right now, and we'll be coming back with a report.
When?
Later in 2018.
Okay. I have more questions, but I will ask later.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. We are all done. We are now recessed till tomorrow morning. Now, those councillors who are going to be here, make sure we're here at 9:30, because I think we've only got bare quorum tomorrow. Second.